Hey, what up, guys? CMC vlogs and stuff here, and today we're going to be doing my top 5 list for my favorite superheroes. And to be honest, this is going to be kind of a new thing for me because I'm first video, just starting this. But enough of all that, and let's get into my actual list. So, I'm going to be going from my number 5 up to my number 1. So, and I'm also going to be doing it from in a ranking of like whether I put the hero from between 1 and 10. So, my number 5 is The Flash, and I put him at a 7 out of 10. And the only reason I put him at a 7 out of 10, he's one of the more how do I say this? He's he's not exactly one of the more serious heroes. Yes, when it comes to actually taking care of the villains and all that, he's fairly serious. But if you look at some of the iterations of him, he's more of, I wouldn't necessarily say considered a joke to the other heroes, but he does joke around from time to time, and it kind of makes him look slightly unprofessional. And wrapping up Flash's little segment, I'm going to go to this next one, which it's a kind of odd one. My number 4 is Red Hood. And the reason this is an odd one is because he's kind of in the middle on the hero-villain spectrum. Because when we first meet the Red Hood in, like, I believe it was the comics, he started out as a villain. And then it took a little time. Well, let me back it up a bit. So, most of you should know how Jason Todd was one of Batman's previous Robins. And he became the Red Hood. So, him being the Red Hood after he was presumed dead, he kind of had a grudge with Batman, so he kind of went villain. He went villain for a long while, trying to, train up to, beat Batman. Although the main reason I put Red Hood in my number 4 spot and gave him a 6 out of 10 is because, one being the look of his outfit, which is absolutely amazing, and 2, he makes an absolutely phenomenal change from villain to hero. When he switched from villain to hero, it didn't even take him too long. Batman just had to do a little bit of convincing in the Batman Arkham Knight video game when you have that boss fight against the Red Hood. It doesn't take too long for Batman to convince him. Although, you don't figure out he was actually convinced until he saves you from Scarecrow. And that's why I put Red Hood in my number 4 spot with 6 out of 10. And the ways that I'm basing this off of is determination, selflessness, and fearlessness. Red Hood being quite a bit selfish. That's why I gave him a 6. But he does have bravery and determination. And then my number 3 slot goes to Iron Man, and I put him at a 9 out of 10. The main reason he didn't get a 10 out of 10 is because in Iron Man 3, when he kind of wanted revenge against the Mandarin. Or at least, revenge against the Mandarin. He pretty much just told the Mandarin where he lived so he would attack him so Iron Man could get revenge. That's kind of more on the selfish side. Although, the only reason he got a 9 instead of anything lower is because of his amazing selfless sacrifice at around the end of Avengers Endgame, where he snapped to save everyone, just getting rid of Thanos' entire army just to save all of the heroes. That is why I put Iron Man in my number 3 slot for favorite hero and gave him a 9 out of 10. Now, my top 2 heroes, well, let's start off with my number 2 hero. My number 2 hero was Batman, and I gave him a 10 out of 10. And the reason I gave him a 10 out of 10 because his bravery is absolutely amazing. His determination is also really up there. And his selflessness, yes, he does end up crippling a lot of criminals, but he does it for the good of his city, which puts him in a 10 out of 10 area. Because he is brutal. That's why I didn't give him my number 1 spot for favorite hero. Because he's not as lightened up as the rest of the heroes. He's very dark and edgy, and there aren't a whole lot of heroes like that, so I guess him being there balances the whole thing out. But you prefer heroes to be lightened up, yes, be serious when they're fighting, but Batman just takes it a little bit too far with his dark side, so that's why I put him in my number 2 spot instead of my number 1. And then finally, the gold medal for my favorite hero, and one of who I think is one of the best heroes, not necessarily strength or powers or any of that, based on his story and how you're actually able to feel about him. So my number 1 spot, the gold medal on my favorite heroes list, goes to Spider-Man with an outstanding 10 out of 10 without any drawbacks. The reason I put Spider-Man in my top spot with a 10 out of 10, he's extremely determined. He's brave, beyond belief. Yes, he does sometimes worry that he might mess up with some villains. For example, and I believe it was Spider-Man 1 or 2, Spider-Man 1 or 2, when he was losing his powers. Although, he has a lot of positive things that kind of made me forget about that. The fact of Spider-Man being extremely relatable, and he cares a whole ton for absolutely everybody. And yes, he isn't the most serious hero in combat. All of his quips and jokes to the people or villains he's fighting. But that's one of the things that I like about him. The fact that he's one of the heroes that isn't so serious. He takes a lot of stuff he jokes around with it. He puts his own little spin and finesse on it, which is a really good thing considering most heroes and villains are very serious with their fights. So it's nice to have Spider-Man, that big beacon and spectrum of light in absolutely everything. So that's really why I thought Spider-Man deserved my top spot. And to be honest, that has been my top 5 superheroes. And I think that this is a pretty good set of heroes to represent, like, me. Like, if I had to pick a team of heroes that I wanted to form their own, like, team and people that would balance the whole group out, I would pick these 5 heroes. And I feel like no one would have to worry about crime as long as these 5 heroes were working together to save the day. And that concludes my top 5 heroes list. That has been me. So, please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share this video with a bunch of your friends who you think might enjoy this video, and please, since this is my first video, please just show it tons of love. For this first video, I at least want to try to get, I'd say, at most, I'd say 50 to 55 views. Well, actually, let's say 100 views and around 55 likes. And, CMC, signing off.